very privileged to have the one and only Shane Pittman on our show this evening. Good evening, Shane.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, I'd like to start off. No, we're going to get into the Holzer Files, which you're doing right now, but we want to know about you, Mr. Shane. Like where you grew up and, how you got into this, and go for it.
Cool. So I'm born and mostly raised in Georgia. I was a military brat, so me and my family kind of traveled a little bit everywhere. I've been everywhere from California all the way on to the East Coast. I am 35 years old, married. I have 4 kids, two teenagers that are driving me absolutely insane right now. And then I have a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. So let's see here. I have a 16-year-old, 15, 12, and 6. 2 boys, 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
As far as with the paranormal, I had experiences, the cliche answer, but it's true. I've had experiences ever since I was young. It started when I was 6 years old. Had some defining moments before the age of 12. We could probably get into that a little bit later. I've always been a technology buff. I love the latest technology. I've got to have the latest iPhones, the latest technology. I've always been fascinated with that sort of stuff. Whenever I figured out that you can actually test things that were going on around you, especially they were odd occurrences or strange occurrences that happened to you, and you had equipment that you can actually test the atmosphere around you, different things around you, I was all in for that. And ever since then, my passion just took over, and then the opportunity for the Holzer Files came up, and that's how it all came about. And here I am now.
So, not only being tortured by the paranormal, you have all these kids, and you must be a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, man, I can't catch a break. I cannot catch a break. I love my kids, but oh man, I think I would choose a dark basement sometimes and having to deal with them.
Well, all my kids are from 22 on up to 27, and 2 grandkids. One's 4 and one's just about to turn 9. So, yeah,
very cool.
I'm right there with you, man.
You feel my pain, huh?
I don't like having money in my wallet,
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
So, if you could maybe give us one of your experiences, everybody would love to hear.
Okay. Well, a defining one, I've told the story quite a bit, but for those who haven't heard it, whenever I was 12 years old, back up a little bit, I grew up in a really religious household.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything to do with the paranormal or anything like that was demonic. That's how it was looked at by my parents and by my family. Whenever I was 12 years old, I had a buddy that, said, hey, you want to spend the night, whatever. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. And he had a Ouija board.
Ooh.
And, I was always told those were demonic. You'd have you opening your stuff up. If you ever use one, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. We messed with this Ouija board that night and nothing happened. I went home the next day and I was in my room getting ready for bed. I lay down. I knew for about probably 5 or 10 minutes into me being in my bed, my closet door was, and we had one of those, the floor, the carpet, the carpet was thicker. So, how the door, you open a door and it scrapes the bottom and you can see the imprint. It's not like a draft could shut a door or anything like that. Well, 5 or 10 minutes into it, my closet door slammed.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm thinking, I had siblings, so I was thinking, hey, somebody's playing a trick on me. So I get up, open the closet door, nobody's in there. So I just thought that was odd. For whatever reason, I leave the closet door open, get back in bed. About 5 or 10 minutes, it slams again. This time I jump up, go into my parents' room, and I'm like, hey, something's up, something's going on. I don't know what it is. Do you guys know? They open the door, look, nothing's in there. They pray over me, say all the stuff that, pleading the blood and all that stuff that they normally did. Then they walk out of the room, and some time went by again. For whatever reason, they leave the closet door open, and it slams again. This time they run in there, and they're doing every prayer they could. And from that moment, I slept in my parents' room that night. I was 12 years old. I did not want to go back to sleep in there. I didn't want to go in there at all. That was one defining moment for me, because I know, if my parents were to get up and to freak out like they did, I knew something was up. And it was something I couldn't explain. From there, I had other experiences, but that was a defining one, to where I was like, there's things out there you can't explain, and it just is what it is. And from there, my fascination just grew, and I tried to research and learn more about the paranormal itself.
So did you get into the Ghost Hunters TV show?
Yeah, I mean, I would watch these shows earlier on and, see different methods that people did. But I'm one of those hands-on type of guys. Mm-hmm. So whenever I would hear local stories or local legends or anything like that, I would get a group together, get some buddies together and say, hey, let's go check this out. So let's see what we can experience or whatever. So I'm one of the hands-on guys. I always love watching and learning from people, but I was one of those guys that just went out there and did it myself, Well,
what part of Georgia are you from?
I am in Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus.
Okay.
Columbus. So it's about, an hour and a half from Atlanta, not too far away from Fort Benning. Probably around 30 minutes away from Fort Benning, something like that.
Mm. So what type of cases or stories are local there to Columbus, Georgia, that you checked out, or anything local there in Georgia that you might have been able to explore?
Well, there's quite a bit. There's this place called Union Springs, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably about an hour and a half away. It's not too far away. And there's a place called Poly Jail. And it was about the story, to try to kind of cut it a little short. It's about a man, his name was Aberdeen Johnson. And it was back in the days when segregation was a big deal. All of that was going on in the South. And he was accused of, mistreating, raping a white woman. And he was falsely accused. But, he was confined to... Hold on one second. Are y'all hearing that?
Yeah.
I'm hearing okay. Feedback.
We still get you.
Just a little bit.
Okay. So, anyway, he was confined to this jail. And the woman's family formed a lynch mob and came after him while he was still in the jail now. So the sheriff and everybody was in on this. There's newspaper articles and all of this stuff. And the lynch mob comes after him while he's still in prison. He's terrified. They work out a deal with the sheriff, get him from the jail, and take him 2 miles east of the jail, tie him up, and they shoot him so many times in the neck that the newspaper article said that his head was just barely hanging on.
Oh, no.
Very, very sad story. Very sad story. But his spirit said to haunt the jail. And we took a team in there and got a lot of really interesting experiences in there. So that's a local haunt. The Springer, which is in Columbus, Georgia, the Springer Opera House, that is a local haunt as well. It's been well known around the area. Those are the main two that I would actually say are credible. There's a lot of folklore.
Yeah.
Those are the main two that I would say are credible.
But both of those sound like really interesting things that, people might want to take a look into. It's super legit.
Absolutely. Those are ones that I would say, yeah, check out. The other ones, you hear a lot of the stories, but, not enough to where I would say, yeah, this is legit.
Do you know where Smyrna's at?
Smyrna? Yeah. Smyrna is, I don't know if I'm thinking right, is it on the outskirts of Atlanta?
I believe so. My aunt used to live there. I know. I just wanted to know.
Yeah. I think it's on the outskirts of Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but I'm a Southern boy. I love the South. It's home. I've been to a lot of different places, and the South is one of the most beautiful places that you can go. We only have
from Ohio. I relocated to Chattanooga about 5 years ago. And then when I first started doing comedy, I lived in Atlanta for about a year. And it's like Tennessee and Georgia is some of the best scenery and the best people you'll ever run into, man.
Absolutely. We only have 2 seasons here in Georgia, but it's hot and then hot as hell. That's all it is. I mean, we don't have a winter or anything like that, but other than that, it's a really cool place. The South is awesome.
Yeah, I think we get about a week's worth of winter here in Texas.
That's more than what we get.
Shoot.
That's why everybody's so pissed off up north, because they're stuck inside because it snows 6 months a year, cold as fuck.
Yeah, that's very true.
So,
very true.
What actually led up to you getting onto the show?
Well, Alexandra Holzer, I knew her. I got in touch with her probably 5 years before the show was even a thing. Like I said, I love to research as much as possible about everything. And I was researching Hans Holzer and how he investigated, because it fascinates me to see all these different methods that investigators use. And I just wanted to soak up as much information as possible. And I was reading what he would call the Holzer method, which was he would go into different cases and he would take a trusted trans medium with him. He didn't care about anything else. He didn't care about the technology. He wasn't a fan of technology at all. He was all about the human experience. He wanted to take the trans medium in and go. So I reached out to Alexandra to find out more information about if she knew more about her father's work with the Holzer method and how all of that worked. From there, we corresponded back and forth for quite some time, and we actually held an event down in Lumpkin, Georgia, called the Hunt with Holzer event. That was we were at the Bedingfield Inn and the old jail that's down here, and we held an event. So basically, how I got involved with the show, I would just say the relationship with Alexandra Holzer first off. Then being in the field, everything just came together. I don't know, it was almost like it was meant to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. The first time that they advertised it on television, I didn't hear it very well. And I thought maybe it was a new Canadian show. I thought it was like the Holzer Files.
Yeah, a lot of people, it's amazing to me because that a lot of people have heard about the show. Then there's some people that you'll say it, you'll talk about it on radio, and they're like, they'll misspell it, they'll Holzer, they have no idea what I'm talking about. So, yeah, we get that quite a bit, too.
I said, what'd they do, bring back Bob and Doug McKenzie, or what? So, what in the world? What's been your favorite case with them so far?
My favorite case. I have quite a few. I would say that the last one that we filmed was really impactful for me because it was dealing with with a personal case. It was a family. What we learned about the Devil in Texas case, which was one of the most perplexing cases that Hans Holzer had, and it kind of haunted him up until his death. Just all the circumstances surrounding all of that. We took what we learned from that case, went to help a family in Missouri, and I would say that's one of my favorites because we helped a family and kind of gave her the tools needed. I don't want to say too much if people haven't seen the show yet, but if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check out the latest episode of the Holzer Files to see more of what I'm talking about. But we kind of gave her the tools and things needed to kind of help her in her situation and what she was going through. And she had children involved too. So to be able to help with that was a really important, very, very impactful case for all of us.
Yeah, when we got into doing the paranormal because we wanted to help people,
Right.
if it ended up getting filmed or whatever, that's awesome. But the whole thing is that feeling you get when you're actually able to help someone.
Right. That's the end game. Yeah, we're doing a show. We've done a show, and I'm very blessed to be a part of it. But like you said, whenever you can help people that don't have a clear understanding, because let's face it, we're always learning. We've been in the field for a long time. We're always learning, and I think we always will. There's people that are brand new into this, and they're terrified because they have no clue what's going on with them. They don't have any tools. They don't know even where to start, much like how we were when, things first started happening to us and we first got into the field. So to be able to help those people, I think that's number one priority at the end of the day.
So do you find that there's a lot of, jealousy or something amongst the paranormal community? Because I know I've joined certain groups on Facebook, and there's conversations going on, and next thing you know, you got some group that thinks that they're better than everybody else. Nobody else knows what they're doing. Do y'all run into that?
Well, you have individual people that will have their viewpoints, and I respect those. I mean, if you've seen the show, you've seen me a couple of times run out of a room or get freaked out, and you always have certain ones that will say, "Oh, well, Shane's just being, I don't want to use the word, I don't know." Shane's being a scaredy cat or whatever. He's not a professional, things like that. And so we always have those ones, but I respect their viewpoints because everybody's got an opinion, and I respect it because they care enough to give that feedback. So I'm just going to listen and discard the real negative stuff. As far as with the teams and stuff like that, we haven't really gotten too much of that at all, which is good. I mean, I think we all support each other, especially the Travel Channel family. We all support each other. We all got different methods, but at the end of the day, I think if your end game is to advance the research so other people can be helped, no matter what your method is, as long as you're not harming other people and all of that, I think at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And different methods or not, as long as we're getting results and we're trying to advance forward, I think that's the most important.
One thing I enjoy about this program is we have an interactive chat room, and our buddy Darren is in this week. Last week he skipped out on me to watch the Joker.
Oh man!
But he wants to know, if you came across a full body apparition, who would you want it to be, and what would you say to him?
Wow, that is a very good question. Full bodied apparition of anybody. That's tough. That is tough. I would, honestly, and I'm not just saying it because it's the show. I would say Hans Holzer. And what I would ask him, I would say, hey, are you paying attention to me with the modern equipment that I'm using now? Do you have a little bit of a better viewpoint on the equipment that I'm using now to get the results? Because he, like I said before, really did not like equipment being used at all. But Alexandra Holzer herself will tell you that her father has communicated to her through this modern equipment now. So apparently his viewpoint has changed somewhat.
So has she gotten EVPs from him then?
She said she's gotten EVPs and his voice coming through spirit box and things like that.
Oh.
So what was the first thing he said? Tell Shane not to mess with her.
I don't know. She would have to tell you that. I know that she told me that she's had some really personal interaction with him, and that he still comes through to her to this day. But yeah, I mean, she said that she's interacted with him with modern day equipment, so I think his viewpoint's changed somewhat. But yeah, if I had to communicate with a full bodied apparition, I think it'd be him, and to just thank him for the foundation that he laid out. For us being able to carry on these cases is a really humbling experience, and it's something that we're all as a team honored to do.
Well, during his time, I think it was a little bit more taboo to talk about those kind of things. Nobody really wanted to admit, oh, yes, I saw a ghost, because everybody think you're crazy. But I guess since ghost hunters came out, it took off, and now you see paranormal group after paranormal group, and you're almost like a rock star when you tell them, yeah, I'm a paranormal investigator.
Yeah, it's taken off. I mean, the field has advanced really quickly, very quickly, and you'll see show after show with different methods and stuff like that. But like I said, I think it's a great thing. You'll see bad apples here and there. Mm. Not saying on TV, but you'll just see them in general. You'll see a lot that their intention is not to advance anything or to help anybody. It's just to go out there and to get scares, and that's at the end of the day, that's all fine and fun to do, but you gotta have a goal, and you gotta have a mission. It's whenever you're dealing with unexplained like this, it's a serious thing. It's nothing to play around with. It's something you've gotta take seriously.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I joined an experienced group when I first got into it, because I wanted to learn and I wanted to know what not to do. And plus, watching the shows, you get some great ideas. And some of it's a little, I guess, seems cliche. You ask the same questions and do the same things, but we learned all kinds of cool things, like with the REM pod. We used it in Seguin in a house that's being remodeled to be an Airbnb, and we were getting beeps on it that we had never gotten before. And one of the investigators said, "You know what? That sounds like Morse code." So I actually pulled up an app on my phone that you can communicate in Morse code. So you just type out the sentence and it does the beeps and dashes for you. And it actually seemed to be talking back and forth. We got it recorded, but it's going so quickly that some people are having a hard time trying to tell what it says, but there are words there. And but what's your favorite piece of equipment?
I have quite a bit, but I would say, and you'll see me on the show use this a lot. I love the thermal camera that I've got, the setup, because a lot of these cases that we've been on, the claims were cold spots, or it was hotter in this area. And with the camera setup that I have, it's recording and everything. To be able to capture all of that stuff in real time, the environmental changes in real time, is paramount to me and my part of the investigation. Because whenever I'm doing the evidence review and looking over the video and everything else and seeing what was going on during that time, it kind of helps build that case and kind of adds to the validity of a lot of the claims that were going on at the time. So thermal camera's good. I'm old school. I love the digital recorders, even the old analog recorders. I love that. You'll get a lot of evidence that way, more than you think, because it's picking up on frequencies that you can't hear with a human ear. So I would say digital recorder, thermal camera, those are two of my favorites.
Naeli wants to know that whenever you've gone over evidence, has there been anything that you've come across that you're like, oh, I don't even want to listen to this again?
Yes. I believe our season finale episode at the Barnstable House, I believe that's going to be our season finale episode. I can't say what it is.
Gotcha.
But it shook me. It shook me. And you'll see, hopefully, I don't know. I haven't seen the episode yet, so I don't know what's been left in and what's been taken out. But it shook me to my core. It was an EVP of a little girl's voice. I'll just say that.
Oh, wow.
But it's something that shook me, and I'll never forget that. It's something that'll make you think twice about why you're doing what you're doing and the implications for it. So I know I'm being very vague, but I can't say too much.
No, that's understandable. I know you kind of have to, because things haven't been on television yet, you got to keep it on the hush hush. But
right.
Darren wants to know
another.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Another thing, real quick, to elaborate on. Another piece of evidence is in our past episode. I think it was our first episode at the Nap House. With the thermal camera again, when I caught the handprint, it was a handprint on a window. What a lot of people don't understand was it was the second story. Okay, the room that I was in was on the second floor. The handprint was on the outside of the window, and the windows were boarded up.
Oh my goodness!
So it was on the outside. So, and not just that, but whenever I would slow down the video footage and watch, you could see the handprint materializing on there. So you could see the cold fingerprints turning hot in real time.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was something. After I saw that, I was like, how did I stay in the room as long as I did? Because that was intense.
So Darren wants to know if there was a haunted location you would be interested in buying if you had the chance.
Haunted location interested in buying? Man, there's quite a few. This is I know this would never happen, but if I could, and there were no restrictions, I would buy the White House.
Yeah.
I would buy the White House because there's been claims for years and years and years about different things. Nobody, has ever investigated. That would be, if I had no restrictions at all, that's what I would do. I know I'd never be able to have the house, but if there were no restrictions, it'd be the White House, I think.
Yeah, well, I can imagine what you'd find in Bill Clinton's room.
I don't know. I think I might skip that one. I might
You just take the CSI blacklight in there and then get all the
I don't think.
parts.
Yeah, I think I would just skip over that one.
and here's one of the famous cigars.
Oh God. Another place. Another place. What'd you say?
Pre-moistened cigars, of course.
Oh my God. Another place I'd probably buy is if I could, with the Amityville house.
Oh,
That's very difficult to get in to investigate. They haven't allowed anybody in, but that's another one that I would be on my list.
Now, has there ever been an investigation that just totally scared the crap out of you? Like you just wanted to get out of there and not come back?
On the show or just in general?
Just in general.
It scared me to the point of not coming back. The Poly Jail in Union Springs, a local haunt, that one unnerved me because a lot of the stuff that was going on. My brother joined me on one investigation one night. We were filming, and I've actually got footage of this. My brother doesn't scare easily. He's younger than me, but he doesn't scare easily. And how the jail was built, the iron doors, I mean, they're very heavy. It's not something that'll just swing and whatever. They're very heavy. You have to actually use some force to close it. Well, one of the doors, we were doing an EVP session, one of the doors behind him slammed so loud that it rattled all of the cells.
Oh my gosh.
I saw him jump probably out of his skin. That's the first time I've ever seen him legitimately afraid. And so that one unnerved me. I mean, I would say I'm a tough guy to a degree, but I would not want to go in there by myself at all.
Another part, talking about being scared and stuff, and I do get startled from time to time. I don't freak out or anything. There's times I'd kind of like to step out of certain places. But
right.
Do you think that there are shows on television right now where they kind of over dramatize that kind of thing? I mean, you don't have to name any names.
Well, I've seen that, but if you watch our show, you'll see me quite a bit kind of leave a room abruptly, aka run out of there. I'm kind of on the fence with it because a lot of people will say, well, I won't run out of a certain place, right? And I know some are pretty self-controlled. But until you experience that particular experience they're experiencing, it's kind of like, I'm careful when I'm judging somebody now because of the experiences I've had, especially this season. Because I'm always the type of, I'm not going to run out. But I've had some things happen to where it was fight or flight, and I flew quick because it was the initial reaction. Now, of course, I went back into the location later and finished the job, but I think it's kind of important. You got to be careful with it, but I think it's important to have that human element because sometimes whenever you're being empathetic to whatever spirit is there or the situation there, whenever you're allowing your empathy to show through, you're going to have those moments of genuine fear. And sometimes you're going to have those reactions where you run out. And I think it's important sometimes that people see, okay, even those in the field that study this and have studied this for years have reactions like me, like I would, because they're genuine reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do some overplay that? I don't want to judge them, but I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do. But I know this season, there were things that shook me, and I'm not going to lie about it or try to act tough about it. There were times where I was run out. I came back, but there were times I ran out. So.
I think that makes it more authentic. I mean, because who the hell's really going to see a ghost? Like, oh, well, there's a ghost right there. I mean, hi, Mr. Ghost. It's like you're going to eat, no matter how much time you've put into it or anything. I mean, that's even like when you have people who are, National Geographic or something, when they see an animal, they might have been trying to stalk a tiger and trying to get footage of something that, about extinct. And then when they see a rhino or a tiger, they're startled or they get excited. So to expect you to sit there like an insurance adjuster when you just got a reading is stupid.
Well, and there were times, and that's why I always stress to everybody, especially those that are investigating for a long period of time. If you ever have those moments, always finish the job though, because you're there for a reason. It's okay to have reactions, but make sure that you go back and finish the job. If you're there to kind of further research or to gather evidence and things like that, finish the job. If you need to get your bearings and all that, that's cool, but always finish the job. Always. But it's okay to have it's okay to have those reactions because, like you said, man, it's a human experience. Fear is very real, and it happens. Just it's how you deal with it after the fact that kind of shows who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah. So, and you use a medium on the show.
Yes, Cindy Kaza.
Cindy Kaza.
I was always on the fence with mediums, to be honest with you.
Myself.
But some of the stuff that I've seen, because me and Dave were in the production team, everybody makes sure that she's very limited in her knowledge of what going into these cases. Seeing some of the things that she has been able to uncover for us that we didn't even know until we did deeper research, that we would have historians tell us, oh, it's funny that you would say that. Not too long ago, we found this piece of evidence out. Stuff that was not even on record that she was telling us. It changed my whole perspective. And it's been a real honor to be able to work with Cindy and with Dave and Alexandra and Gabe, our case researcher. I mean, I know this is probably a cliche thing to say, but we really have a great team, and I'm honored to be a part of it and to be working with them.
So it's, of course, and you've got Dave Schrader, Cindy Kaza, yep, and Gabe, right?
Gabe Roth, he is our case researcher. He basically compiles everything and lets us know if there's still things going on with these cases that warrants the investigation, warrants us going out there. And then from there, he gets with Alexandra. Alexandra helps him. Alexandra Holzer, Hans Holzer's daughter. She helps him and kind of gives insight into what her father was thinking about the case at the time. And she kind of helps us in that regard to add to our case. Dave Schrader, of course, I mean, he's a pioneer in his own right. Paranormal radio and all of the stuff that he's done with Midnight in the Desert and Darkness Radio. And he is phenomenal as far as being the lead investigator. I'm glad that he's leading us. He is a great leader and a really good guy.
I notice he's very, very serious when he's talking. So do y'all ever try to crack him up?
Yes, and like I said, they always cut this out. They always cut it out, because of course, the investigations and the cases, they're serious, and we're there to do a job. But he has got such a great sense of humor that sometimes when we're in scene or right before we're about to film a scene, he'll say something that he knows is going to get me. He knows it's going to get me, and he knows it's going to tear me down, but he does it anyway. But yeah, we do that to each other quite a bit because, you know, sometimes we're filming 15, 16 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have those little breaks in between, you will go crazy because it's grueling days. We love what we do, but it's long hours. So it's good to be able to cut up now and then and do that. And, you know, like I said, we're a tight-knit team. We're comfortable doing that with each other, and we know when the other one needs it. And, you know, so short I know that was a longer answer, but short answer is yes. We try to you know, lighten each other's day up a little bit, you know.
Well, I know whenever.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Sure.
Being from Georgia and the South, have you ever investigated any Civil War sites or anything connected to like the history of the South, other than the jail in Alabama?
You know, unfortunately, no, I have not.
Me and my girlfriend, we went and checked out a spot. It's called the Battle of Missionary Ridge, and before Sherman's March and everything, there were a lot of skirmishes here in Chattanooga. And there's actually a hill with a monument, and they've got different monuments and plaques commemorating the charge up Missionary Ridge. And then they've got 4 cannons that are in the same location where they stood when they were taken over. I think it was 1863. And then there's some haunted tours in Chattanooga, and they're just going near those cannons and being able to like read the charges of the different brigades from the different states. I got a real cool energy from there. Like there was still a story to be told from there. And then, you know, the blues started in Chattanooga. You got the Chattanooga Choo-Choo. You got so much of the migration of north to south and the maturation of the country here. So, and then there's Chattanooga Ghost Tours. So me and my girlfriend going to kind of check out some spots here locally.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I would love to investigate one of those spots. Just unfortunately, I haven't been able to yet.
We'll be here when you get to Chattanooga.
Absolutely, man. I'm down.
And Austin, don't forget us.
Oh no, never. We can't forget you guys. Can't forget you guys.
Have you been to the Driscoll?
No, I have not.
Well, we'll have to get you in there. You got to come this way and go with us when you're not filming.
Let's do it.
I'm for it. I'm down.
Oh, speaking of Texas, we never got to ask you. So, what was up with Tyler? You got to recently visit Tyler, and
yeah. So that was the Devil in Texas episode. So that case, Hans Holzer, it haunted him up until his death, right?
Mm.
So there was this family for about 3 years straight that was experiencing severe poltergeist activity. Things moving on their own, letters and notes materializing out of thin air. Those were the claims. Voices coming through, telephones lifting up off the receiver by itself, being hung upside down whenever, you know, so it's like somebody was talking on it, hung it up always upside down. And there was a teenage boy, Andy Beard, that he believed he was, and his family believed that he was possessed by a demon. So Hans Holzer told the family, well, if you move, you know, it may stop the activity. Well, the family moved and it stopped for a while, but then it picked up in intensity in the new place they were at. And by that time, it was too late. Andy was older. He was in his 20s at the time. And his sister reached out to Hans Holzer and said, hey, my brother, he feels like he's possessed. He just wants the pain to stop. He's hearing voices all the time. Hans Holzer tried to reach out and tried to go back out there, but by that time, Andy did not want help. He refused to help. And unfortunately, it ended tragically. He ended up committing suicide.
Yeah.
And very, very sad case. So we learn more about that when we go to Tyler and find out that, you know, unfortunately, he had ended his life. But then a family reached out to us that had similar things going on in their life and in their household. And she reached out to us, a woman named Lydia. She had 2 children. And with the things that we learned from the Devil in Texas case, we decided to go and see about helping her with the knowledge that we had and that we gathered. So that was the last episode, and we ended up, you know, like I said, I don't want to say too much for those who haven't seen it. Hopefully everybody has seen it by now, but I understand life gets in the way, and, you know, maybe not everybody has seen it yet. But we ended up going and giving resolution for this family in Missouri. It's a really great case, and it's one of the most emotional and impactful ones for our team.
I know what you can say. Tell us exactly the, you said the Holzer Files is on the Travel Channel. What dates and times is it airing?
It is every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Travel Channel. This Thursday is not a new episode. It's going to be an encore episode of our Morris Jamel case in New York. But we are back with an all-new episode on November 7th, Thursday, November 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Travel Channel. And that was a case, it's called Phantom Crew. We investigate the USS Constellation.
Oh, cool.
In Baltimore, Maryland.
Nice.
That one's an awesome case. Like I said, I can't say much, but that one's a good one. You want to tune in for that.
But last night's episode was part of Ghostober, correct?
Right. So Ghostober ends. It wasn't last night. It was Thursdays.
Was it Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday. Ghostober ends on the 31st.
Okay.
So on Halloween, Ghostober ends. And unfortunately, we don't have an episode airing that night. There's a Halloween special going on that night. Ghost Adventures has a Halloween special. But like I said, we're back November 7th for an all-new episode.
Okay, cool.
Now, if you can't catch it on Travel Channel for whatever reason, let's say you miss it, you can go to the Travel Channel app, the Travel Go app, and if you have a cable subscription or anything like that, you can view our past episodes and our current ones there. You can also go to Hulu and Amazon, and our episodes are there as well.
Or do like I do and DVR it so I can skip through all the commercials.
There you go. But hey, if you DVR it, just if you don't mind, try watching it within 2 to 3 days after the air date, because that helps with our ratings. If you watch past the 3-day mark, it won't count as a view in the same way. So if you do DVR it, I understand, like I said, life gets in the way. I've got a gazillion kids, so I know how it is. But, if you DVR it, just watch it within 2 to 3 days, so that way it kind of helps us out a lot, and we would really
Support
appreciate
the show.
that.
Oh,
yeah, please.
Well,
we would really appreciate that.
I would love to see it come on another season because I really enjoy it.
Well, thank you so much. And you know, everybody that has been watching so far, and the feedback has been absolutely amazing. Everybody has been so supportive, and I'm just thankful for everybody that's watching, and they're receiving it well.
Well, like you said, you've got a good team there.
Absolutely.
Everybody seems to work together real well. They have a good rapport with each other, and it makes it worth watching. And another quick question. Do you find it more exciting to be able to debunk a lot of things or to actually find the evidence? Because I mean,
I
I do enjoy getting evidence. Don't get me wrong, but there's something that makes you kind of makes me feel good whenever I can say, oh, you know what, this is what really is happening.
Yeah, I think both of those go hand in hand. Yes, it's exciting because some of the things that you are debunking has terrified people before that time. So that there wasn't an explanation for it. And it brought a lot of fear and uncertainty to a lot of people that were experiencing whatever was causing that. So whenever we're able to go into a case and to debunk that and say, okay, here's the cause, here's what it is, it's not paranormal in nature, it's this or that, it brings comfort to the people who thought it was something else when it really wasn't. So
Right.
yeah,
I think
of
it
course,
brings integrity too, because it shoots down the people that try to say, "Oh, those people are they're all frauds." And I think the skeptics almost assume that if someone says that any paranormal claim is true, that everybody in the paranormal, community is going to run and try to support it, no matter how valid it is or not. And I think it gives everybody more validity when people can point out, okay, this isn't real. So then when you find something that's like, okay, this is something that we can't explain, draw your own conclusions. It
right.
shows that people are really sincere and they're not just trying to blow smoke up your ass. It's not carnival barking.
Right, right, and we all know this. Some people don't, but we know this. Not everything is paranormal. So, and even in these cases that we go and do, it's important to show that aspect that there are things that you can definitely explain away, and you can you can close that aspect of it down and say, okay, no, here's the explanation for it. But on the flip side, Kyle, what you're saying is,
Yeah.
on the flip side of things, I love the evidence portion too. What people don't see on these shows is I do my own evidence review. So I am pouring over hours and hours of stuff. It would be quite boring if I was unfortunate enough not to ever get evidence. So whenever I do get that evidence, that is extremely exciting for me because sometimes and y'all know that sometimes listening to audio and all of that, you're spending hours listening to nothing until something happens, right? Same with video. So I mean, whenever those occurrences happen and there's something I can't explain, it's an adrenaline rush for sure.
Oh, there's times I just want to rip the headphones off and say, oh, I gotta take a
Yeah,
break.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes you got to take a break, right? Sometimes you got to.
or you're
Um,
or you're sitting there and you're watching a video and it seems like your eyeballs are crossing.
yeah, yeah. That's how it was. That's how it was when I was watching the video for whenever I was at the nap house and I was in that room when I caught the hand on the thermal. It was the same thing. I was watching because the thermal didn't have audio on it, so it's just the video. So I'm watching hours and hours of this, right? And I'm just seeing. I'm going to the portion where I freaked out and I'm moving the camera, and then I'm slowing the rates down. And then whenever I saw that, that was kind of like a holy hell moment right there. And it made, for all those hours that I was spending, that was the pinnacle part of it where I was amazed. And again, why I do what I do, it's for moments like that.
So is the show able to give you the income that you need to to live off of? Because I know a lot of the shows when they first start, it's very low paying. Because I actually did a pilot one time, and I know these they give you minimum wage. Is there something else you
Well,
do in life, or?
well, yeah, I'm in management. That's what I do for my main income. I can't speak on the pay portion too much. I can say that the network travels, they've always been great with us. And I can't say much more than that, but yeah, I can't discuss the details in that. But I can say that they treat us right. They treat us right, and they've, throughout the whole process of filming and everything, they've just been absolutely amazing with allowing us to do our thing. Because, you know, I know there's some production companies, some networks out there that, you know, it's kind of stricter guidelines and things like that. They've been really great with allowing us to try things in our cases, in our investigations, and they kind of give us that creative go ahead to be able to do things. So they've been really fantastic.
I think the Travel Channel's good marketing the shows with the whole Ghostober thing and the ad campaign. It's like they actually push the shows. They don't hide them like at 3 a.m. and act like they don't exist.
Yeah, they are very supportive across the board with all of the shows that are going on. They do their best to let the world know, you know, as much as possible, let the world know what's out there and what's coming up, and they've just been great. I can't say enough good things about them. They've been great. But yeah, as a day job, I'm in management. Been in management on the tech side of things too. Been in management for about 16 years. So.
Oh wow. Well, right now all I do is help the ratings on television.
Hey, we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
I've gone through the second season or the second whole seasons of The Office. So yeah.
Oh God, I love The Office. I love it. So maybe I'm helping the ratings too.
Well, see,
between.
I would watch all the ghost shows during the day, but my wife would shoot me if I didn't wait for her to get home. So.
Gotcha.
So
I know how that is.
Yep. If the wife ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Nobody's happy. You are right about that.
Well, believe it or not, an hour has gone by.
I can't believe it. It has flown by.
It has flown by. So, tell us how people can follow you on social media and a little bit more about Travel Channel, their schedule for y'all, and so everybody knows.
Okay. So on Facebook, you can find me. Just type in Shane Pittman. You can find me there, or at Starring Shane on Twitter and Instagram. At Starring Shane. Y'all don't make fun of me for that. It's just something that I had for years, and I just can't. Travel Channel, like I said, Ghostober ends October 31st on Halloween. We will not have a new episode of the Holzer Files this Thursday. It will be an encore episode at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's going to be a special going on this Thursday, a Halloween special with Ghost Adventures from 9 to 11 Eastern. At 11 o'clock, that's when our encore episode of the Holzer Files plays. Then the following Thursday on November 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have an all-new episode of the Holzer Files. And every Thursday after that until, I believe, December 2nd or 9th, something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
You can also follow the Holzer Files on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram.
Well, we'll be reposting this episode on our social media, and I will be definitely sending you the link as soon as the show's over.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely share that, and
okay.
You know, we definitely will support y'all. If anything special is coming up, y'all like us to advertise on our social media, shoot it to me. I'll be glad to do it.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all providing the platform where we can talk about it a little bit. You guys have been great. You guys have been awesome. I appreciate it very much. And the people in the chat room, too, all the questions, great questions. I appreciate you guys, too.
Paw boy.